productivity, winning strategies, and aligning employer-employee goals. If this sounds like something your business could use more of, then you've come to the right place. The Business Mechanic Show with your host, Vaughn Sigmon. Let Vaughn show you how to develop, improve, and jumpstart your business. So now, please welcome the host of The Business Mechanic, Vaughn Sigmon.
Welcome to the Business Mechanic Show. This is your host, Vaughn Sigmon, co-founder of Results-Driven Leadership. Thanks for joining me once again. Today, I'm going to share some simple tips on a straightforward management approach around making sure your fellow managers, you and your fellow managers, are all in alignment and on the same page. And if you're not, I'm also going to share a story about how that junks everything up and you look like a fool, and you may not absolutely realize that. So let me share this scenario. It's from the front lines on how poor communication, management misalignment creates the dysfunction that so many employees suffer the consequences from. But I'm going to start. This is a retail story that I'm going to share in a little bit from the front lines, real story. But let me credit where credit is due. Navigating the role of a manager in a retail store is akin to being the conductor of an orchestra. Just as a conductor must harmonize the different sections of an orchestra to create a beautiful symphony, a retail manager must synchronize a diverse array of tasks, people, and challenges. Every day is a little different, and the challenges, they keep on a-coming. And then in the end, they've got to ensure that the store operates smoothly. I was in retail for a very long time. I started as a store employee. I moved up to sales, and then I moved to assistant manager, store manager, district manager, regional vice president, regional VP of sales, general manager, director of stores. I grew up in the retail industry. I started from the bottom. So from what I speak of today, I speak with authority because I've been there, I've done that, and I've seen this kind of challenge not only happen in retail environments, but in many other types of industries. And I'm using this story as an example that's relevant to any industry and management level. So let's transform this story to your world and your industry as you're listening to it. Retail management is not for the weak. You got to wear many hats, just like every other industry. Retail may be a little more complex at times. I could argue for hours with somebody about how difficult retail management is compared to other types of management. There's the people management aspect, all those different personalities. You've got a team with varied personalities, skills, levels of experience, and each member, they require a different approach to motivate them. And much like how a string section differs from the brass, then there's the customer service component. Imagine trying to conduct a symphony for an audience that's walking around the orchestra pit, asking questions and sometimes even demanding a completely different genre of music. Managers need to ensure that each customer's experience is harmonious, addressing their needs, their complaints with the grace of a maestro, managing a live performance. Then let's throw in a little inventory management. It's another critical aspect of retail management. It's akin to assuring that workers they all have the right scores and the right instruments. A retail manager has to keep track of stock levels, anticipate the demand for different products, restock, mark down, take inventory. It's a delicate balance, much like ensuring the flute section isn't drowned out by the trombones. And then there's the behind the scenes logistics, similar to setting the stage of a concert. This involves scheduling the different shifts, managing budgets, payroll, and dealing with suppliers, third parties, delivery drivers, fire inspectors. It's the equivalent of making sure that the stage lights are correctly focused, the sound equipment is working, and every musician knows their cue. So I certainly admire and honor all those in retail. In essence, being a retail manager is about creating a masterpiece of customer satisfaction, employee harmony, operational efficiency, all the while the audience, aka the customer, is part of the performance. They're right in the middle of your work all day, every day. We used to have a joke, a saying that you want to bring some customers in, start doing a floor move, start rearranging things. You'll get a flood of customers and they'll be right in the way of where you're going. It's difficult. It's a complex role, one that requires patience, adaptability, a keen sense of timing, much like the conductor of an orchestra, ensuring that every note lands perfectly to create a memorable shopping experience. So imagine you're in the world of retail, a realm where the customer is king and everything else seems to fall into the realm of chaos. And only the bravest dare to navigate. Now let's dive into this tale. I've set the stage. And this story is all about when employees were told to focus on customers, and oh boy, did they focus, letting the world around them turn into a mountain of hangers. They did exactly what you told them to do. And in this maze, I'm going to share with you today, you got two types of guides, the managers and the supervisors. But here's the kicker. When they're not exactly on the same page, it's like one of them is reading from a map of Paris and the other is navigating through Tokyo. It can be pretty confusing. So enter our protagonist, a frontline employee working a cash register who's just trying to make sense of it all, just wants to do a good job, get their low wages, work their part-time job, maybe full-time there. And in this case, this employee's told customers first. They come in and customers first, focus on the customers. Okay. So what do? With the zeal of a knight on a quest. And here's the thing about quests. Sometimes you get so focused on slaying the dragon that you forget to feed the horse. In this tale, the horse happens to be an ever-growing pile of hangers. And anybody that's worked in retail clothing, you know the hanger story, y'all. It is a nightmare. And I want to thank Twisted Sifter for writing this story and inspiring me to talk about this issue today. So here's the story. And this is in the voice of the employee / victim. Like I said earlier, working in retail, even if you're a part-time employee, is not for the faint of heart. In fact, some days it's not even for the strong of heart, the stories I could tell you. And working with customers is only the half of it, because you also have to work with these managers. And this happened a couple years ago with my last job. I used to work for a pretty popular retail store, one in a city where there wasn't a whole lot of other competition. And I got hired on as a cashier in town. So this particular store, because there was a lack of competition, always packed. As soon as I started working, I realized the management sucked, quote unquote. That one supervisor always told you one thing and another manager told you another. And depending on which way the wind was blowing, you're not sure what's expected of you, because they'd never seemed to talk to each other. But they surely expected you to do what they told you to do. I tried listening or explaining whenever what they said contradicted each other, but things always got worse, because when I did that, I was talking back. So I stopped and started always just saying, yes, ma'am. So one day it was extremely busy. And the person who had cashiered before me had failed to put away these damn hangers. And in this case, the store reused hangers, and they made it a big deal to get them all put away, keep them organized. And the manager who trained me told me between customers, I could put away a handful of hangers just so I didn't get overloaded. Keep up with it. So that's what I was doing. Went over the walkie. I hear register number 2, get back to the register. Don't put away hangers. What do you think? You need customers come first. So did what I was told. Yes, ma'am. And just let the hangers start piling up. Fine. And I worked for over 3 hours straight without a break in line. So customers come first. The hangers piled up. They were under the register. They were crammed on top of they were under the register was flooded and crammed with hangers. On the counter with it was a huge pile of hangers. Customers were having trouble putting merchandise on the counter because of all these hangers. And then finally, the manager who had trained me walks over to me and looks really annoyed with all that's going on. She looks at this pile of hangers. She said, why aren't you putting hangers back between customers? And I replied, I was told not to. Customers come first. So she rolled her eyes and she just pitched in and started untangling with me. And she made the comment, yeah, but this is unacceptable. So many of them. Today's been busy. And let's remember, the person before me didn't put away any hangers before they went home. So there's 2 shifts worth of hangers plus all that I processed through. And I tried putting them away when this other manager yelled at me to get back to my register. Here I am, the employee caught in the middle. I can't win for trying to please. And by the way, it took us over 2 hours to finally get all those hangers put away, with 2 of us working on them. That's the end of her story. So here's the problem. This, my friends, is a classic case of miscommunication, a comedy of errors where the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, or in this case, what it's saying. It's a scenario that's not unique to retail, believe me. It's a universal theme in the grand narrative of work. Now, let's not point fingers or roll our eyes too hard. The truth is, this wasn't rocket science. It was ring up customers, put away hangers. Not the most difficult thing in the world. But for the managers, it was difficult because it was about communication, clear, concise, and being considerate. Managers must be on the same page, singing the same hymn, or at least coordinating their playlist. And when things go awry, as they inevitably do, it's worth taking a leaf out of my former friend, and when things go awry, as they inevitably do, it's worth taking a leaf out of Ferdinand Forney's book, Why Employees Don't What They're Supposed to Do and What to Do About It. And spoiler alert, it usually boils down to communication, understanding, and alignment on the manager's part. I put a link in this podcast for you to download my list, Ferdinand's list, of the 16 reasons why employees don't do what they're supposed to do. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is go spend some time with the mirror. The next time you find yourself in a situation where priorities seem to be as aligned as planets in retrograde, take a step back. Think about how you're communicating, what you're prioritizing, whether you're truly making things as simple and clear as they should be. And are you and your fellow managers, anybody else that has access to this same employee? Are you prioritizing? Are you two on the same page and not sending miscommunications to the poor people who have to execute? How do you cross-pollinate communication with your fellow managers, maybe even your boss? Do you all speak the same priorities? Are you two on the same page? Because at the end of the day, whether it's designing a user-friendly website or managing a team, simplicity, clarity, empathy, they all go a long way. And maybe, just maybe, we can keep those hanger mountains in the realm of mythology, right where they belong. Let me ask you, are your planets aligned? Let's dive in a little bit into effective communication and self-accountability. Let's keep it simple, straightforward. As I often say, the best approach is usually the most intuitive one. And in the spirit of keeping things simple and intuitive, let's talk about how managers can communicate with each other to ensure the whole team is on the same page. Because really, after all, we want to avoid this all too common scenario where the right hand and the left hand is blissfully unaware of the other's actions. And the poor employees that work between you get caught in the confusion and certainly the inefficiency, and you are the blame for it. You suffer from it, but you're getting paid a little bit more than these folks at the front lines. Keep that in mind. Let me give you some tips. Let's use a little bit more of this in the workplace. First, let's establish a home page for communication. Think of your team's communication strategy as a website. Every website has a homepage, a central place where you can find everything you need to know, and then it will guide you to where you want to go. So managers, you need to establish a homepage for your communication. This could be regular meetings, a daily 5-minute stand-up, a shared digital workspace, or a communications tool where updates, decisions, and strategies are clearly posted and easily accessible. And make that your go-to place for managers to get caught up and stay informed and stay on the same page. 2, use clear, user-friendly navigation. Like on any well-designed website, and you've been there, navigation is key. How easy is it? How simple is it? How frictionless is it to find what you're looking for? And your employees find what they're looking for. You want your users to find whatever they seek without getting lost. This is key for managers' communication. When discussing projects, strategies, issues, just be clear and direct. And think about it in bullet points, headings and bullet points, straightforward language to make your points easy to follow. Just a nice, user-friendly interface for your conversation. And then 3, implement a breadcrumb trail. Breadcrumb trails on websites help users understand where they are and how they got there. In manager communication, that means always providing context for your decisions and updates. The why, the how long. Just don't tell your fellow managers what's happening. Explain the why it's a priority for you, who it's going to take to get it accomplished. Who, what, where, when, how. Keep all that in mind so we're all fully cognizant of each other's priorities and why it's a priority and why you can't step on my priority, or let's negotiate before we communicate this to the employees and get them caught up in this puzzle. Number 4, Conduct regular usability testing. Like in web design, usability testing involves getting real users to test your site. Have you ever done that? If you don't, believe me, you're going to have some surprises. And in the context of manager communication, this means regularly checking in with each other and the rest of the team to ensure that communication strategies are working, where my message is clear. Is everyone on the same page? And use whatever feedback you get to tweak and improve your communication methods. And as you've often heard me say, manage by walking around. Make yourself accessible, visible, nice. Keep all that in mind. Number 5, you got to optimize for mobile. Every website needs to be mobile friendly because you never know what device someone is going to be using to access it. So similarly, managers' communication needs to be adaptable to the different styles and situations. No two managers communicate the same. No two employees receive that communication the same. Recognize that all managers don't communicate the same way. Some may prefer detailed reports while others want quick bullet points. Respect that in your fellow manager. It's in their DISC profile. ICs need more detail. IDs need bullet points. Get in, get out, get it done. Stick to business. High Is, they need a lot more explanation and time to feel their way through it. So you, in the deliverer of communication, need to fit this communication and situation to that manager's communication needs. That way you ensure your message is always received loud and clear. Number 6, keep the 404 errors to a minimum. You ever come across one of those on a website? It means someone was looking for something that just isn't there. A lot of wasted time and energy for managers sending someone chasing down something that doesn't exist or it's not where it's supposed to be. Make sure that you're not leaving gaps in your information. You want to keep it simple. You want to keep it concise, but it's got to be thorough. And then ensure that all managers, your fellow managers, have access to the same information. No one's left out of the loop. And then stay on top of your updates and check-ins. Minimize those errors. And number 7, remember the human factor. Just as a great website is designed with the user in mind, great communication is tailored to the people involved. Behind every manager and their title is a human being. Be empathetic. You may not like them, but you need to respect them. Show them respect. Listen actively. Be open to feedback. Don't be one of these people that ask for feedback. Just you're out there trying to seek some positive reinforcement. Be open to real developmental feedback. But at the same time, you need to be understanding and allow humanity to be part of your communication style. That can go a long way in making things more effective. Believe me, if you don't show respect for somebody, if they don't trust you as a communicator, they do not listen very well, which exasperates this whole situation. So by using these web usability principles to manage communication, you, my friends, can ensure that everyone is working together seamlessly with no left hand wondering what the other is doing. Keep it simple, clear, user-friendly. Don't assume somebody knows what you're saying. Don't assume that they understand you. Check for understanding. If you do all this, you can watch your team's efficiency and morale soar. Well, that's a wrap on another episode of the Business Mechanic Show. If today's content resonates with you, then you're going to love what we have to offer. From performance coaching designed to enhance your potential, to executive coaching that guides leaders to steer their ships towards greater success. Remember, the best investment you can make is in yourself and your team. And the best part, prices start at just $47 per month, making top-tier coaching and training accessible for everyone. Your growth, both personally and professionally, can have a ripple effect, the one I call the transformational triangle of change. The skills you learn, the perspectives you gain, and the efficiencies you create can translate into increased revenues. Check out our website, rdltraining.com, to discover more details on our programs and coaches. We have a link in the show notes to guide you there. Until next time, we're out of here.